story time.
Ooh.
The most embarrassing professional moment.
Oh my goodness.
This is what I want to hear. And I'll share mine first so you have a minute, or we'll let you stew this over. Um,
I've got options.
you got
that's
options?
that's life in real
Yeah.
life. I've got
Yeah.
options. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Let's
can,
hear
so you
yours.
can adapt and,
And I'll adapt based on either something
yep.
similar or something totally opposite.
Yeah. If you're like, wow, his is like not even close to embarrassing, then you're like, I'll tone it down. I won't give him that
Also depends
juicy.
on what's really embarrassing to you, right? What's embarrassing to
Yeah. Well,
you
that's
may
true.
be tragic to me, and what might be embarrassing to me might be a typical Monday for you. So
Yeah.
depends. Right?
So
Depends.
we'll see how, yeah, and guys, it's all about you give what you get what you give. So
Yeah.
if the listeners out there want to provide their most embarrassing professional moments,
Please.
please send it in. Send it
We'd
in.
love we'd love to go over it with you.
What if we only did physical mail for for our comments? you you can only reach
You
us
can only
via
mail it to a
direct
PO
mail.
box,
Yep,
and
via envelope, and we will
yeah,
open them.
once a
Oh
month
man.
live on video. We'll open them. I think that's not
Okay.
a bad idea,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
Let me
Okay.
look up.
We're
Let me
on to
look up
something.
the
Okay.
sunk cost of a PO box nearby. That'd be
Okay.
awesome. One episode a month. It'd be like Mr. Rogers. Welcome to my neighborhood. Let's go to the fan mail, right?
Yep.
And it's always asking for advice from two dads. Like that could be the topic across the board. Any advice, and we would give you our
Our
non-solicited
2 cents.
advice. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also literally, we just won't respond to any comments except for ones that
Only
arrive
mail.
via mail.
And if you could send stickers in it, the kids would love that too.
Yeah. So really appreciate it.
If you could send some stickers.
If you're listening right now and you're already headed over
We'll
to
get you a PO
your,
box.
yeah. Yeah.
We'll get you a
Come
PO
on.
box.
All right.
Okay,
So, most embarrassing professional moment. Okay.
go for it.
There's one that stands out far beyond all the others. I don't really get embarrassed,
Mhm.
really at all. So most of the time, I don't know. I just, it was whatever. But
Mhm.
this moment was truly like the most awkward I could fathom. And, it's nothing too insane, but it was just like well, here, this is what happened. So I got a job, and I was um an executive, and I this was like
Ooh,
boom, suit and tie job, and I was like, this is pretty up
the
there. Like
power
I'm
suit.
feeling pretty
Looking
pretty
good.
cool, yeah.
Gotcha.
So um I have like I think it was like my first or second day,
Mhm.
and I'm like getting acquainted with everybody in the office, and I'm getting my desk set up, and the COO basically comes up and is like, "Hey, I'm gonna introduce you to the CEO, and you guys can chat it up for a minute." And I was like, "Cool, awesome, let's do this." And so we go into his office, and we're chit chatting, shooting the breeze. And I mean, I don't honestly, because of this moment, I don't remember anything that we talked about. But we got to the end of the conversation, and he was like, welcome aboard. And this guy was like older, like in his 60s, like late
Gotcha.
60s,
Yep.
probably ish. And he was just like, welcome to the team. And the way that his hands were like
Out in front.
positioned,
Yeah.
I it looked like
Hey, bring it
he
in
was
here, brother.
coming in for
Bring it
a
in here.
hug. And I fully embraced this man.
Come here.
And he was not
He was not
he did
prepared.
not want a hug.
He was not prepared.
Oh man, but he took it like a
There you
champ.
go. There you
And
go.
I was like, this
Did
is
you
not what I
know?
was supposed
Did
to
you
be
know
doing
as
there.
soon as you embraced that you're like, oh, he's not hugging
Yep,
me back.
yep,
Like he's
yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. He kind of like was like, oh, now what am I gonna do? And he
I
kind of
know
like gave
we're
me
already
a
deep.
tap.
Nice. A
And
little
yeah, like I
bro
could
tap. Okay.
smell the guy, like it
Yep.
was like, oh
That's
yeah,
close.
this
Yeah.
wasn't what this was supposed to be at all.
Yeah.
And I just was like, yep. cool. And I
We both
left
use the
the
same body
office.
wash. That's awesome.
A- And I thought, oh man, like I just screwed that up. The whole like
Yep.
that relationship is it's gone.
I'm just
It's
gonna
it's
collect
done
my
for.
stuff now and just head
I'll
out.
just leave. Well,
Thank you for the
I ended up
opportunity.
having being at that job for like almost 4 years, maybe three and a
Nice.
half years,
So
and
here's the question.
before we
How
moved
was
up
the
here.
next interaction with the CEO? Right? Company
It
party. You go up and you're
Yeah.
like, hmm, another
You know
one?
what? No, no, it was fine. We
Okay.
we had plenty
Or did
of
he put
like
his hand out
meetings.
like, hey, Travis,
It
nice
was
to
one of
see you
those,
again?
yeah, no, we had plenty of meetings enough that like it just kind of went away. Well, but and then eventually, I don't know, maybe I would say 2 years later, there got to a point where we had a like a company like a party, but or it was like a training, and it was an all day thing,
Gotcha, gotcha.
and it was an overnight thing. So
Okay.
that was we got to the point where everybody had some drinks, and it was like the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, and we had some
Socialization. Yep.
games, and it was fun, and everybody was there, and I was like, I have a story to tell, and I it was with him, so I told him this story,
Okay.
and I was like,
Okay.
I don't know if you remember this, but the first time we met, probably the most embarrassing moment I've ever had in my life,
He's
and
got the flared eyes.
thankfully
He's like,
he's
mhm.
like, well, I completely forgot,
Oh,
didn't
that's
even think of
awesome.
it,
Okay.
and
You
he
reminded me. Thank
goes,
you.
"That's yeah, thanks for the reminder, but
Mhm.
it's all good." And so I cleared the slate. I nothing nothing to worry about there.
Mhm.
I survived that situation.
Mhm.
It wasn't
Mhm.
the end of my job, but boy, like I was rosy. Like I was feeling it. I was like, oh no, that ruined my
Mhm.
second day or whatever day it was. It was
Hey,
rough.
but second date turned into 4 years, so it's not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so for me, that was hilarious, by the way. I've had plenty of interactions similar to that, not in a formal corporate setting, but it's always like the cousin-in-law or the neighbor's friend where you go in and he puts his hand out and you're about to give the hug because it's a little high, but it's because
yeah,
they haven't fully extended the hand out for the handshake,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or you go in for the handshake and they bring it up for the high five, and now we're awkwardly like rock scissor papering.
yeah.
I've done that so many times, so
Oh
many times.
yeah.
And then because I feel a little rosy, I just go in for the hug. Like that's the cure for everything
Yeah,
because I feel
yeah,
like,
you're like,
hey,
bring it in, buddy.
yeah. Well, not only that, like, hey, if this is already embarrassing, let's just take it over the top.
That's
Let's
right.
right get it
And
really
that
exactly,
cancels it out, really. I totally
exactly.
feel you on that one.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I do the whole fist bump, hand high five, like
Hmm.
we can't get it, I
Yeah.
just grab their arm and I
Hmm.
bring it in, and I just like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just
The one
just
thing
make
I
it
do
crazy.
with other parents, and it's a reference for all the other parents out there, I do the whole trolls thing, right? Like if we mess up, I'm like, oh, octopus, brr, 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 or stick shift, right? Like I do one of those things.
Yes.
But embarrassing parts for me, there haven't been a lot. I guess, well, there's one that I was just like, ooh, can't do that again. Got to double check. So this was probably, and I think the reason why it's embarrassing is because if I was new, right, and it happened, hey, water under the bridge. But I was already probably 6 years into gym life business, right?
Yeah.
Running the gym, everything going well. And we had early morning classes like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. classes. And then we do privates and then lunch, right? A couple more privates and then the evening crew. And depending on who is scheduled to be at the gym, a lot of times I'm there all day, no matter what other trainers or coaches were there. If I was there in the morning block, like from the AM to lunch hour, a lot of times, if I didn't want to schedule any privates, I'd finish the morning classes and then like go home for drop offs, right? When Emma was little, like bring her to like kindergarten or something like that. Or I'd run and go get breakfast after like, because I've already been up for 6 hours, right? So, hey, I'm jonesing for food.
Yeah.
So there's this one instance where we had an early morning class, like a 6 to 7 a.m. class. And, I'm always cleaning up after class. Great class. Had like 20 people in it. And then I'm like, okay, what time is it? It's like 7:15. You know what? The next group class doesn't start till 9. I'm going to go run over by the district by us, go grab some breakfast. And so I'm throwing like weights in the corner, right? Mopping up everything, disinfecting everything. I get out, I get to the district, and I get a phone call. And I get a phone call from a member that is stuck in the gym because I locked all the doors, right? Because we had key locks. So I
Yeah.
totally, so we had showers and stuff, but I like checked in the showers, didn't hear anything, but they were in the changing room. And so usually, so ever since then, right? I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like 5 minutes out. Let me come back. And literally, I come back, and you remember our door was like transparent window door,
Yep.
and he's standing right there in suit and tie because they needed to go to work.
Oh my
Right? I'm
gosh.
like, I'm so sorry. So from that day on,
Yeah.
whenever I did close shop, I am yelling, is anybody else in here? Last call, right?
Yeah.
Knocking on all the change room doors, bathrooms, because of that one instance. So I made it all the way to breakfast, like mid bite, and I get a
Yeah.
text like, "Hey Rob, I'm locked in." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I didn't know
Where'd
anybody.
you go?
I didn't know anybody else in the gym. I literally like followed what I thought was the last person out the door,
Yeah.
locked it, and then took off." So yeah, I
Oh
guess that
man.
was, and that was already like years into the business. You would think protocol would dictate me double checking, especially in the morning classes, right? Because people have to get to work, get to their kids.
Yeah.
I'd be a little less embarrassed if it was an evening class because like end of the day, you don't really need to
Yeah.
rush anywhere. But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's my embarrassing story.
That's hilarious though. Like this them standing in their suit, just like
Yeah, full suit, just like,
hello.
hey, nice to see you again, Rob. Can I go to work now? Like, yo, yeah,
You forgot me.
yeah. And thanks for coming back, by the way. You know who you are. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's fun. I like
Yeah.
that. You just you won't you never forgot them again either,
No,
you
no.
know?
And it made for, funny enough, it like on a business standpoint, I don't want to get too businessy, but it made for better
Yeah.
systems, right? Because it's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's going in the user manual.
You
Hey,
learn. You
knock on the
remember.
doors, yell out loud before setting an alarm, right? Like stuff like that.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing, Rob.
Cool.
And we this could be this main topic for today could be like 5 minutes long, or it could be 25 minutes long.
We'll
We'll have
see.
to see. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and we'll be, we got places to be, kids to pick
Mhm.
up, so it will only be a certain amount of time.
By the
But
by the way, some insider baseball, some inside if you're wondering when we do this podcast, like when does Rob and Travis ever have time? It's a
yeah,
micro window on a very specific day between family helping us out and pickups. Like literally, it's that window. And so if you've listened, especially our last couple episodes, and Travis has been good about like teeing up, hey, we dress differently. It's because, hey, we got to cut it off at a hard stop and we pick it up where we left off. But yes, continue.
that's right. That's right. Thank you for that little
Yeah.
snippet there.
For someone, I actually got a message like, when do you guys have time? It's like, we don't, but we make time, right? That's the difference.
That's right. That's right. This is a priority.
It
And
is
unless it's a priority, then it's not going to
not going to
happen.
happen.
Or if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to
It's not going
happen.
to happen. Yep.
So this is on the calendar. And lunch is just right before it. Therefore, I was eating my Nutrigrain bar, which
Uh-huh.
brings us to
Good
today's
segue.
topic.
Loved it.
Did you know, Rob, that you have a superpower that you might not even be tapping fully into?
I'm sure of it. What entails is going to be interesting. But yes, continue.
What could it be? Well, the superpower that I'm thinking of is nostalgia.
Ooh, okay.
Now, I would be cool to like have a cool like nostalgia like that we could like attach to
Yeah.
us as like
Yep.
the nostalgia beam. That's
Yeah, I
not
got you.
what we
Not gonna
have,
happen. Not in
but
the budget.
it's not in the budget. Yeah, the first thing that
Mhm.
that I'm gonna budget in is a mic. So the
I'll make note of
microphone,
that. I'll write that down. Microphone, then
then
nostalgia.
nostalgia gun. Okay.
Got it.
Um, yeah, I this was just random thoughts with Travis solo drinking coffee the other day. I was
I like
thinking
it.
about this.
Like it.
Who knows? There might be like books or like articles about this. This
Stay
is
tuned.
all just straight out of the brain, straight out of the
Mm.
noggin. You're getting just Travis
Tapping
brain
in,
on
buddy.
this,
Tapping
nothing
in.
else but my thoughts. So,
Okay.
um, it is interesting. I was, even eating this Nutrigrain bar right now, right? I don't eat Nutrigrain bars very often, but I was visiting my parents and boom, they still had some. And like I had
Mhm.
those growing up all the time, I was eating the Nutrigrain bars. Those have not changed one
Since
single bit
then,
since
new.
whenever, I don't know when they came out of
Mhm.
originally, but that smell,
Mhm.
it's very distinct, and
Brings you back.
so brings me back every time I pop
Mhm.
that thing open, and oh, like all of a sudden, like I could be 7 years old,
Mhm.
whatever, just like, oh man, this is great. And it evokes this, like, it brings up those happy hormones, like the
Mhm.
dopamine
Mhm.
is rushing through, on whether it's something you see, whether it's something you used to own,
Mhm.
something that you like smell or hear, your favorite song, all that jazz,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And so I thought it's pretty crazy, like, you think back to your childhood, and there are all
Mhm.
these, core memories. We talk about core memories and all that. Um, that it just elicit this joy inside that you cannot replicate. It's
Mhm.
only because you experienced that when you were young.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just thought, like, man, nostalgia, it's a wonderful thing. And I want
Mhm.
to ask you, this is a very broad question too.
Yeah, we could definitely riff on it.
Normally I would give you some more specific questions, but this one I just kind of wanted to riff on. So I
Yeah.
kind of want to know, when I'm talking about this nostalgia, what comes to mind when we talk nostalgia? What are you thinking of
So
off the
for
cuff?
me, off the cuff, for me, it's gonna be senses, right? For me, it's sound, smell, and taste. Like if there's a very specific like chapters in my life that are connected to things. So starting from like back in the day when I was a little kid, it'd be the smell of fresh cut wood and the taste of a very specific tea that now you can get at pretty much any like 99 store or any kind of Asian themed store.
Yeah.
But so the smell, and Travis knows this story a little bit. So I don't know if we've talked about it in another podcast, but when I was younger, some parents send their kids off to summer camp. My parents sent me to go live with my grandparents for like the summer. And
Yeah.
my uncle owned a wood refinery. That's the best terminology. I don't know the terms. Basically, take big fresh cut wood and turn it into lumber,
Yeah,
right?
like a mill.
Exactly. And because I was small enough to fit in the shaving catch, I would always stuff like bags full of them. So fresh cut like wood, even burnt wood, because that big bandsaw is gonna create some heat. That smell
Yeah.
to me always snaps me back to handheld fireworks exploding in my hand, running around like a wood mill, like the best hide and seek. I mean, we're
Oh
talking like
my
an acre
goodness.
worth of like stuff, right? So that brings me back. And then the tea, the reason being is like growing up in like, working class Asia, which was like nothing on nothing. We're talking like 10 cents for a bag of tea. So the
Mm,
vendor would scoop the tea out, put it in a plastic bag, swirl it around with a wrap. And that was like on a hot day, like that was the treat. So those two things snap me back to like my childhood. Now, as far as listening music, I was a big music guy in high school and college, and mixtapes were all the rage in the 90s because
yeah.
they took way more effort than they do now to create a mixtape.
Uh-huh.
So there's definitely like eras where it's like I grew up in the like ska punk era. And so whenever they don't come on the radio as much anymore, but I've been educating my littles on what music really is. And so I've been playing some of those old, like I recreated them on like Spotify, and I've
Yeah,
been playing
yeah.
it. And the girls are used to like K-pop and pop. They're like, "What is this?" I was like, "This is 3 chord rock. Like you don't need more than 3 chords here, right?"
Yeah.
So definitely, music brings me back to college dorm life, right? Road trips with friends, and so that for me is very nostalgic. And funny enough, it's what we try to recreate, right? So like whenever we go on trips, we do like mixtapes for the car. Everyone gets to pick a song. As far as food, whenever we visit like uncles and aunts, like the girls know like what's the go-to treat or meal they want, and then it's always associated with that trip. So that's nostalgia for me. Like that, man, I could close my eyes and I already can see my cousins chasing me around, drinking that tea, or making a mixtape like 2 a.m. in my dorm room for Mo, stuff like that. So, what's
Yes.
nostalgia for you? Like when you hear nostalgia, What is it for you?
Yeah. Oh, well, I am a sucker for nostalgia. I like to just soak on the memories. And I mean, also I feel like it's because I'm slightly sensitive to the fact that they're like my grandma had dementia and
Gotcha. Yeah.
like there's some of this stuff I'm like, I want to remember as much as I can.
Mhm.
And I keep telling Deb, I'm like, if I start asking you the same question twice, you gotta tell me. Like you can't keep it from me. Cause I'm just afraid one day I'm gonna be like, what is it, 51st Dates, Adam
Yeah.
Sandler. Like I'm just gonna be like, I'm living the same day every
Every
day, you
single
know.
day. Yeah.
But anyways, um yeah, so there are a lot of things that I love to reminisce on.
Mhm.
Like sometimes just to mix it up. Sometimes this is, I guess, a little treat of moving away from where you lived when you were a child
Mm.
is it makes it even more special when you come back, right? So, I mean, I haven't been gone for that long. We've been living in NorCal now for 8 years, you know,
Mhm.
compared to the first whatever uh,
That's crazy. It's been
amount.
8 years? Wow. That time
Yeah,
flies.
I mean, like it's
Time
technically
flies.
not 8 until August, but we're getting there,
But
right?
still, it's pretty
So
much
yeah, we
year 8.
moved 2017, and we
No
moved
way. That's so
up here.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, which means it was 10 years ago that I was at the gym with you.
I know, I know.
That's
So that's the crazy thing about it.
insane.
Yeah.
Um, so anyways, nostalgia. Yeah, so when I go back, when I swing by SoCal,
Mhm.
um, it's trickier to do now with the kids and everything, but usually I'll try and sneak like like 30 minutes at least of away time, like um
Mhm.
where I'll just go drive myself and
Mhm.
I'll like park outside of my old house and
Oh, yeah.
I'll walk the street and like I get to the baseball field at the end where like my dad and my brothers we'd hit the ball and play catch for hours and hours, and I'd see like, oh, the bump smoothed over, the one that I jump my bike off of all the time, like that's gone now. Of course,
Yeah.
right? Um but like just looking to see what's the same and what's different. Some things
Mhm.
like it really changed the mood too. Like we used to have a ton of big trees on our street and they cut all of the trees down.
Oh, wow. Yeah, development.
It
Yeah.
takes away some of like the warmth there. I'm like, oh, this is not how it was. But
Mhm.
I digress. The real thing is like, yeah, just like and I'll drive like through like my old like college stomping grounds and
Mhm.
like high school. Like I kind of just like to do like a little like rewind and take a trip to a couple spots. So that, immediately puts me back in wherever that space was that I was. So but yeah, things that bring me a lot of joy. There's all sorts of stuff, but like the smells for sure.
Mhm.
Um the some like cereals, like even just like walking, like because we change over time, right? And
Yeah.
like we're a little bit, we have a little bit more tools in the tool belt now than we did before. Like
Mhm.
I'm not eating the same things that I did when I was a kid because
Oh, yeah.
now, it's kind of like yeah,
Yeah.
that has how many grams of sugar in it,
Mhm.
or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
I don't really go towards that. So then I'll like get some like, nice sugary cereal. I'll just like pour
Yeah.
myself a a bowl of like Lucky Charms and I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
"Oh yeah." You know, some of them have changed, right? Again, so like, man, I used to love Kicks as a kid. I had Kicks.
Mm.
They changed that completely. So it's not even close to the
I
same.
haven't had it since I was a kid,
Don't
but
do it.
no,
Don't do
no.
it. Just leave that in the past.
Remember the memory. Gotcha. I
Yes,
will.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So, um, but yeah, yeah, we talked about this when we were talking about the outdoors when we recorded that episode. But
Mhm.
like on a day when you got the Simpsons clouds outside and it's blue
Yeah.
sky, like pristine, puffy white clouds, like
Mhm.
across the whole way, that always, like, I don't know if it's, I love the sky because of that. It's like, I don't know if I'm happy because I'm seeing that. And it reminds me of one day when I was a kid, I was sitting on our back porch and it was like the perfect weather, the cool
Mhm.
breeze, the sun
Mhm.
shining on my face, the clouds rolling across the sky. And that's locked in my head.
Yeah.
So I always come back to it. Right. Um, and yeah, so I would say, um, it's interesting because I thought about utilizing this. Now, this is the part where I'm good at thinking of things. I'm not good at doing the things, you know.
Gotcha.
And I don't know what that is. This is a complete. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole right now, but I just
Mhm,
it doesn't make sense to me that like you know I can think of things that I want to do, but I just never make it happen. Like you do the I still want to set this up the email thing for each one
mhm,
of your kids, and you
mhm,
like write them notes. I'm like, that's the best idea ever. And I mean, and I want to do that. And I've heard of that before, and I'm going to do it, but I don't want to do it right now. And so then it's just like, well, now my oldest is 5 years old,
mhm,
and still haven't done it. But anyways, I digress.
mhm.
Here's the idea that I have that
Yeah,
other people can
lay it
put
on
into
me.
practice, and maybe I can take my own medicine and do
Gotcha.
it too. Um, and that is eh, nostalgia is at your disposal right now in a
Mhm.
sense that you can utilize this as a tool in raising your own kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right, it's already locked in that your kids being your kids, you know, like idolize you and like have a bond with your children that nobody else can have. And
Mhm,
so that in and of itself is a superpower. But the fact that you can this is comes into practice in many ways, and so I want to
mhm.
hear what you think of
Yeah, for
when
sure.
I mention this. But um if you want to make something special, you can literally lock it in as special however you want right now. Like
Mhm,
the thing is that's interesting to me is I thought like, dang, like you could this is a bad example, but you get my drift. Like you
gotcha.
could get a candle, but you
Mhm.
could buy like 5 of them, and you could like throw 4 of them in a tub somewhere, and then you can like burn that candle like every time you do this thing or whatever with your kids, and then they're gonna like it's gonna elicit this smell,
Yep.
and then later on in life, you'll be like, hey, I got a couple of these puppies, and you'll break it out, and they're like, oh,
I
what? You
remember.
know?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And it's so like, I'm just thinking, like, what? How can we utilize that now, you
Mhm,
know, to make an extra special moment later? I'm always wondering, how do we elevate the moments that we have with our kids, right? And they
mhm.
never are exactly as you want them to be. But that's
Mm-mm.
not what this is about, is it?
No,
With
it's
nostalgia, and the thing about nostalgia is it's everything, right? So
mhm,
it's not like you can plan all this out. And that's not what I'm saying. But what does that look like for us now that you know maybe we'll you know bring some return later, like
mhm,
just it's really for your kids. It's not for you, but it's
mhm.
just like you can give them, whoa, I'm knocking my camera over, you can give them future joy just because.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, like, for us, what we do and it is a tool, right? And but at the same time, like, I don't want dads to be so caught up in like, okay, I need to create these anchor points because nostalgia is so important. I think
Mm-hmm,
for me,
mm-hmm.
when I think nostalgia, it's kind of heart centered, right? Heart forward. So like all the memories are usually good memories. And they happen because of a couple things. One, repetition, right? They happened over and over again. And it's usually along similar timelines, like same time of year, same time of day, maybe every birthday, right? So what one of the ways that we create kind of these nostalgic or anchor points in the girls is we try to keep the repetition simple, right? So it could be as easy as like every Friday when we get on in the car for drop offs, like I literally say happy Friday, and then the girls say happy Friday. Like it could be something like that, so that when they
Yeah,
start growing up and they're not in school anymore, and they come to visit, I can say happy Friday, and it reminds them of all the car drop offs and pickups that we used to do. So I'm not saying it every day, but I do say it every Friday morning, right?
that would be really
And
weird
so
if you said happy Friday every
on a
day.
Tuesday, like, like dad, you're pushing
Sorry.
it a little bit, right? You're trying to make this happen a little too much, right? Or like what we talked about, like our own childhood memories of our dad. So like being able to spend time with each girl every night, just reviewing their day and stuff like that. Like that's what they're going to remember even when they're no longer sleeping under this roof, right? They're going to remember like, oh, the check-ins with dad and stuff like that. Like that's something I want to do with my kids. And so for me, the goal of nostalgia is less about deliberately creating it versus just making sure that I'm leading, like I'm heart centered, right? Just making sure that I'm doing something that's consistently around them, that's repetitive. So again, you don't need to like break your back about scheduling stuff like that, but look at like one or two things that you already naturally do repetitively. Like for us, one of those things are like around 4 o'clock, we go outside like every day, and they hear the wind and the trees, and they remember playing Batman and riding their razor scooters. And no matter what age bracket they're in, we always go outside before dinner. And that's eventually going to turn into nostalgia, right? Like, oh man, I remember always being outside playing with our neighborhood kids and riding the scooter. I remember falling off my first bike. All that was because at 4 p.m. we go outside. So that's kind of like how we are anchoring it based on a
Yeah.
time that's
Yeah.
repetitive. And that's something that's we are already doing. And as long as it's a good memory, which they are, right? Hopefully that
Yep.
turns into something. And when I think nostalgia too, I think like good memory and something that not only snaps me back into that time, but something that I want a memory of. Like, the globe of London, Big Ben that you shake and you put on, like that's nostalgia, right? First off, it's a snow globe, right? That's nostalgia as it can get. And secondly, it brings me back to an experience or a memory that I have that I don't want to forget. So we have something that triggers that memory, like a snow globe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. You're just making snow globe moments over there. But I
Yeah.
like what you have to say about the consistency part is
Mhm.
because and I'm not saying I am garbage at consistency. This is why I have my
That's
wife.
not true.
She's
You
well,
are great at consistency. It's just doing consistency on new things. It's like pushing a rock uphill before it gets to the downhill momentum, right? And it's hard for all of
yeah,
us to create new consistency. But
yeah,
you are consistent at stuff because you wouldn't be where you are at now, be it a parent or your relationship, if you weren't consistent with some part of it.
or
Right?
podcasting. I
There you
mean,
go, man. Are
shoot,
we consistent or
shoot,
what?
man.
We're
Look at
we're awesome.
us.
Look at us.
So
Look at
yeah,
us.
pat on the back.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
my Paul Rudd shout out. Look,
Yeah, I love Paul Rudd. He's great. If I could just channel that, that would be great for this
that's
podcast.
we'll get him on this podcast in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be big eventually, and he can come on and we can
Yeah.
chit chat.
Even,
We can just do a
even
little
if we're
chit
not
chat.
big, I'm very good at being consistent with the DMs. So one or the other.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see. I was gonna say something about that. I'm thankful for my wife because of the way that she uh consistently brings those like special moments
Mm-hmm.
to light and makes the most of them. Um I value it, yet I don't always do it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like I just owe her a big shout out on the podcast right now for that because
Oh, for sure.
yeah, like it's just like I mean, birthdays and holidays and things just would not be what they are without her consistency with that. And
Mhm.
again, that'll pay off later for the kids to, they'll remember that and that'll be locked in. And so yeah, and I like that you are reminding us too that it's not like you have to go out and do these things now.
No, no.
But it's just yeah, it's as simple as you're making memories that they want to hang on to. You're
Yes,
making memories that you want to hang on to. So
exactly. Exactly.
you're the driver on this little slice of life that you're on right now with your
Mhm.
kids. And so eventually, just like you teach them how to drive physically,
Mhm.
metaphorically, you're doing the same thing.
Yep. Yep.
So um yeah, so shoot, now it's got me thinking about nostalgic things.
Mhm.
And I mean pretty much everything, from your past, all the fun stuff is all nostalgia. And for me, it's a lot of like 90s stuff. For you, maybe
Mhm.
some 80s stuff
Yeah, let's say
there
late
also.
80s, 90s for sure.
Yeah.
And then I don't count it into the 2000s because I just don't count it in the 2000s. So
Well, you know what? You could say like, I mean, because man,
it's kind of the
like
present. So
I didn't have, yeah, yeah. So can you still call it nostalgia? I mean, I still dream of getting on the motorcycle again,
actually,
and
yeah, that.
I smell the exhaust or I hear the rumble of
Mhm.
one, and it elicits joy. And I realized that I haven't owned a motorcycle for like now like a decade. So it's been
Yep.
10 years and it feels like it was yesterday, but it made me sad when I realized that it was not yesterday.
Yeah.
So,
You know
yeah.
what? It'll come again, but I just remembered another nostalgic one, and you'll remember this. But the AOL dial-up, like
Oh,
for
yes.
me,
The sound.
there there was a time like that, and then a time after that, right? Because now, like, I play that sound, or it's in like a meme or something. And my kids are like, "What is that?" I was like, "That's what the internet used to be. When you would wait to connect, and then all we had was chat rooms." They're like, "What is a chat room?" I was like, imagine that you text message friends that you don't know. They're like, "Why would you do that?" Right?
What?
Like, it's so hard to explain. Never mind. Right?
It's
But
like
like,
playing Fortnite and you're talking
yeah,
to all your friends or not friends,
exactly. But you
random
have to
people.
wait. Exactly. You have to wait. They're like, "What is this waiting stuff?" I'm like, "Oh, that's a totally different thing too." So
Yeah. 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 The first time I'm pretty sure the first time I got like and again, this is like aging myself, so some people listening might be like, "You're just a little cat," you know. But it's not. This was longer ago. There are plenty of young ones listening that are younger than
yes,
both
Travis.
of
Yeah,
us.
yes,
Yes,
100%.
yes. I'm just thanks for the backup there. Thanks for the
Anytime.
support.
Always.
Um, You've Got Mail with Meg Ryan and
Yeah.
Tom Hanks.
Mhm.
Classic. Love that movie. Um,
That voice too, the actual comment of "You've got mail."
It's on that. Yeah, it's on there. But then also, that was the first time I learned that there's such a thing as instant message, and like, oh,
Mm,
you could go do that. Like, and I was like, he caught it right then and sent something immediately.
yeah,
That's crazy.
I know, and you can respond immediately, like, "Wow, I don't need to wait for the mail." I'm like, "Nope,
Yeah,
yeah, no more
we've
pen pals.
reached the pinnacle of technology right
This
here.
is as good as it's gonna get." Great.
Yeah. So I had another thought and I lost it. And therefore, nope, nope, it's back.
Oh,
It's
caught
back.
it, brought it back, it's
Caught
reeled
it.
it in.
Woo. Just like the guy like almost gets a home run, but then the outfielder just swoops it back in.
Sweeps in, yeah.
Um the hum of like the modem of the computer too. Like
Yeah,
I
the
noticed
hum.
just a while ago, there was some like white noise. I don't know what it was, but there was like a I don't know if it was an appliance of ours or something at somebody else's house. I heard it and I didn't think anything of it because I thought, oh, yeah, it's the sound of the computer from my childhood.
Yeah,
And I was
exactly.
like, wait, this sounds just like a computer used to sound like with like the
Mhm.
little bit of crackles here and there and the
The
clicks and
hum
the,
and the heat. The
yes,
heat,
yes, it
right?
would blow on
You
your
got close
leg.
enough, you're like, "Wow, this is hot. Why is it hot?"
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And then all I could remember is because there's electricity going through it. I'm like, "Yeah, but why is it hot?" It's so weird.
yeah, yeah. So good times back in the 90s.
Exactly.
Oh
And if you're
man.
born in the 2000, Google it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Hmm.
You won't be able to feel it, but you'll at
Nah,
least be able to read about it.
maybe eBay. If you know what that is, you can look on eBay.
I mean, like, I don't
Are
know
people still
why.
eBaying? Is that a thing? I
Yeah,
haven't
I
been
don't
on that in
know.
a decade, at
Yeah,
least a decade.
it might be still a thing, and
Hmm.
also, I actually would love to have an old PC. Like, I don't know, can you still use them?
So here's
I'm
the
gonna
thing.
assuming.
Do you remember your first encounter with a computer?
I don't know if I
I
could
know
say
this
I
is like,
remember my
I guess this goes with
first.
nostalgia. This goes on the
Yeah,
topic. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I remember vividly uh Apple IIc Oregon Trail. Like that's all I did during computer class. Not
Yeah.
typing, didn't care. I would just slowly double click and then, oh, Rob died of scarlet fever. Right. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
right. I always liked the hunting the buffalo. Like that's the hunting part was the best. That was my first version of a third person shooter. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So it was Oregon Trail. I tried to reintroduce that to the girls. They're like, "This is so boring. This is
Yeah,
so
like,
slow. Like, why,
ew, what?
why is it pixelated?" I was like, "Wow, you understand pixelated. That's cool."
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first experience with the Apple IIc. It was huge, heavy, clunky. It was black, white, and green. Like the text came out like that neon
Yes.
green.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am trying to I don't know if I either had it was like a Windows computer or a
Mm,
gate. We had a gateway computer
yeah,
once, and that was like a what? And it had like the field with the blue clouds in the
yeah,
background
yeah.
and the cow. Wasn't there a cow? Like with the first,
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah. So weird stuff, you know. But excuse me. Anywho,
Yeah.
we've run out of time and we've
Yeah.
got places to be, things to do, kids to pick up.
Hey, that
So
was a cool throwback though. Like definitely brought up some like floppy disk memories and MP3s.
oh man,
Nobody knows that.
you're keeping this conversation going. We might have to come back to it,
We'll come back to it.
because I
For
remember
sure
the
enough.
floppy disks. That I
Yes.
had a camera that took floppy disks.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was crazy. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Well, until we meet again, we are
Yes,
not
sir.
experts.
We are not gurus. We're just
Two
two dads
dads in
in
real
real life.
life.
Till next time.